Hi guys, welcome to the Drum Club again. I thought this month we'd do something that we could carry on from last month regarding the fills, etc. and stuff like that, the fill concepts, the triplets. So I thought we would do swing time. And we'll just go into a bit of detail about that. Now, a lot of people know what a swing rhythm is. I've done a PDF that goes along with this just for people that don't know about it. It just gives a basic insight. But we will be showing you how to develop some areas of this in more detail. Right? It's like anything, we can go into an awful lot of detail about it. But let's start off simply and see how we get on. Okay, so a basic swing rhythm. I'm going to play it on the ride cymbal for now as an example, but it's going to be this. So we're in triplets, and it's going to be 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Okay, so another way of thinking of it is we've got 4 beats on the 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Okay, now I'm gonna I encourage all my students to talk and count out loud, and basically, like we did last month with the triplet fill concepts, I suggested you all count using the triplet. So you've got the different placements for every reference point in there. So it's the 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. And that will give us all the possible scenarios there. So we've got the reference points with the voice, and then we've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 main beats. And this locks in directly with the bass player in a jazz context, you know, so he will be playing a walking bass line, which would be crotchets also. So that should line up nicely with that. And then we have what we call a skip beat, okay, and that's on the let of the 2 and the let of the 4. Okay, so the whole rhythm: 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Now what we're going to do now, we're going to add some dynamics in there just to make a difference between the main beats that we want to have a nice, confident, big sound on, and the let notes on the let of the 2 and the let of the 4. Now those are what we call skip beats. And so if you can imagine somebody skipping, transferring weight from one foot to the other, there's going to be less weight on that sound or that movement. So ding, 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 ding. Have a listen, and hopefully this will make more sense when I play it. So 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet. So making sure that the 4 beats are nice and confident. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the skip beats, I'm just playing those nice and light. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Now, there are advanced strokes that we use to achieve this balance, okay? And it's all to do with the molar strokes, basically. Now, I'm not going to get into that now because that's a whole new topic, and it's a very detailed topic. So basically, we'd apply these advanced strokes to the ride cymbal. But all you need to do is use whatever technique you do have to try and gain that balance. So we want more of a 4 feel, which will lock in with the bass player, like I said. So if they're playing a walking bass line, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we would have the bass player doing the fours. So hopefully those crotchets will lock into that, and there'll be a nice balance to help keep that forward motion within the music, and to help the other players in the band, you know. So if they need something that's a bit more obvious, we can throw in a bit more of the 1, 2, 3, 4. There are times when we'll just want to do it all even, and just to create more of a two feel, or create a less intense forward motion, you know. So that's more even sounding swing, you know. But there'll be times when we want to, if we're in a full big band, for example, we might want to be a bit more. You might want to give it a bit more ictus, to dig in a bit more. And, you know, the bigger the ensemble, the more direct and obvious you need to be with the time flow. Okay, so that's the first balance on the ride cymbal. Then we'd bring in the bass drum as well. The bass drum fits nicely under this. Again, the bass drum is crotchets, 1, 2, 3, 4, just like the ride cymbal. So that should line up really nicely with that. And the balance we want on the bass drum again is very light. Okay, now the technique we use for the bass drum is called feathering, just in case no one's aware. As you can imagine, the word feathering implies it's going to be like, if you play with a feather on a drum, you're going to brush past it, going to be very light, very delicate. It's a supporting role. And again, think of the bigger picture, think of the music here. Be a musician, not just a drummer, okay? From a musician's point of view, the bass drum needs to be quiet, because we'll be playing with the bass player. If it's a trio situation, it would be probably unmiked, okay? And we would have a piano. So it needs to be delicate anyway, so we don't intrude on that sound, and we'll let the main voices come through. It's a supporting role. Also, if you're a musician and you're trying to play a solo and you're playing too loud on the bass drum, okay, can you imagine being a vibes player in that ensemble and trying to hear the changes? The bass player will be outlining the harmony, the harmonic changes on the chord changes, you know, ba-dum, dum, 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 ba-dum, dum, 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 whatever. Now, if you're playing too loud on the bass drum and you're trying to hear that harmonic language as a front line player, you're not going to hear any of that, okay? If you're not counting, because obviously you're thinking of modes, patterns, harmonies, chord changes, trying to think of producing a nice harmonic line, and you can't even hear the foundation under that to play your solo, that's going to be really stressful. You're not going to play to your best. You're not going to thank the drummer, that's for sure. You're just going to think it's a joke, and you won't get booked again. So understand the bigger picture as a musician, not just a drummer, yeah? Nice and quiet, so you're playing under the bass. Feathering, and it doesn't get in the way. It helps project the time flow to the ensemble, but in a really nice, light manner, in a gentle, subtle manner. You don't have to dictate time by slamming someone over the head with a hammer. You know what I mean? We can do it in a very subtle way. Rhythmic information in a very subtle way, yeah? So I'm playing the bass drum then, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2, but it's a very light touch. And if we want to talk about the technique we're using on the bass drum, for the lighter, more delicate dynamics, a lot of the jazz guys will use flat foot. Yeah, so you're on the pedal and you're just going to pivot from your ankle. Keep your ankle on the floor, but you're just going to do that. That way, there's more chance of the beater coming back off the head, so you produce a nice round tone, because stylistically, if we're playing in a jazz setting, we're going to have less dampening. This is like a commercial, fits all purposes, a generic sort of kit, and the tuning is such. So this is quite dead. It's got the old pillow in it and all that stuff. Works fine for a multitude of many different styles. But if I was playing in a more traditional jazz context, I'd have an 18-inch bass, or maybe smaller, very little dampening, a more resonant tone, so it would sound more like a tom. And of course, if we play in on the tom, we're going to get a choke sound. So bring the beater off the head, which is what the flat foot allows us to do. Yeah, there are many different techniques that we use for different styles of music, etc. And then we've got the hi-hat on the 2 and the 4, yeah? So 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. And again, the hi-hat needs to be quite articulate. If you don't add enough energy to the hi-hat, there is a danger sometimes that we get this this air sound, and it makes the note sound longer. Now, if I project more energy into this stroke, listen to the difference in the articulation. Yeah? Go back to the other one. Okay, more articulation. More ictus to the sound. And that's what we're wanting here. So the technique that I recommend for many of my students, even if you're playing with brushes, unless it's a really quiet setting, use a bit more leg. Use the weight of the leg. I'll get the heel up in the air. And what we'll do is we're doing a bit of a hop. So I don't know if I can do this with all the leads and everything else, but let's give it a go. Try and untangle myself here. So the way I describe this is, I don't know if you can see me there, right? So we're jumping up and we're hopping like that, hopping up in the air. So I'm pushing off my feet and I'm actually hopping up in the air, and then I'm falling back down. So I'm going up and down, and it's like a piston stroke I'm doing just off the end of my toes. Now we're doing that same kind of movement for the hi-hat, but we're sat down. So we're not going to go up in the air. We're still doing the piston stroke almost, pushing off, but the heel's still up in the air all the time. So when it falls back down, we fall back onto the toe, the bottom of the toes. Okay, but because we're pushing up, we've got all the weight of the leg falling back down into the toe, and that's going to give us a lot more weight pulling down on the hi-hat and more articulation as a result. Yeah, so 1 triplet, 2 triplet, and it's just timing that hop. And again, this takes time. Many players complain when they're experimenting with this technique for the first time that they feel like they're about to fall over, lose balance, or fall off the drum stool. Yeah, it's almost like balancing on your toes, but you will get more comfortable with this as you go on. Yeah, so find what works for you, and then you can decide to just have a looser feel. Or a bit more leg. If it's required. Great. So as far as balancing it all together and mixing the rhythm, what we're going to do now is we're going to have a nice strong ride cymbal pattern, or if we were to play it on the hi-hat, a nice strong hi-hat pattern. Skip beats nice and quiet, bass drum underneath that, but the hi-hat quite present as well. So in the mix, let me see if I can translate what I'm saying here through the playing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. just adding a bit more rhythmic information, but it's not overload, it's just very subtle, just a crotch stick on the 4, a nice light sound, not to be too heavy, you know. And then, once we've got that to a point where we can do it instinctively without thinking about it, obviously rushing through this now, but we spend many, many weeks getting completely comfortable with this, and to a point you can do it without thinking about it, because then the next stage is to introduce the left hand comping on the top. Of course, the coordination is one thing, getting all that together, but of course then there's the molar strokes to implement and the other things on top, if you were to go down that route. So it's, you know, it's a journey, and be patient, definitely. Play along to backing tracks, play along to music, because it's a much more enjoyable experience, rather than feeling like you've been put in solitary confinement for being bad and sent to your room to practice by yourself, you know. Just put some music on, feel like you're playing along with a band, it's a social thing. You're taking in all this other information as far as musical form, what the other instruments are doing for reference points, which is all really useful. So you're learning all the time orally, you know. And I hope you have some fun with this. Just enjoy it. Get those Frank Sinatra tunes on and away you go, you know. So, lovely to see you all again. I hope you're all safe and well, and everything's okay, and hopefully you can have a bit of fun with this swing time. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.